What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Hoops Unplugged. So, we're going to check out the hot headlines after Brooklyn Nets lost to the Milwaukee Bucks yesterday. Nets fall to Bucks in overtime classic, and it was indeed an overtime classic. It was a really great game. Great players making big time plays. Let's just take a look at the stat sheet real fast. That's what I always like to look at. Let's look at the stat sheet. So you see James Harden, 22 points, 9 rebounds, 9 assists, but 5 for 17. That is the key thing that I'm looking at. It's clear that he did not have his legs under him. I mean, look, 2 for 12 from 3, and a lot of those shots that he were missing, like those were shots that we seen him make throughout his entire career. So that's how you know things weren't right with James Harden. And then look at Mr. Durant here. 48 points, 9 rebounds, 6 assists. Are you kidding me? He was fantastic. This brother came to play. Bruce Brown really chipped in. He played well defensively. Blake Griffin, 17 and 11. Hey, Blake showed up, man. Blake did his part. Obviously, he fouled out there in the later stages of the game, but he did what he was supposed to do. Let's look at the Bucks there. So we see Chris Middleton with 23, 10, and 6 for 9 for 26. I thought Chris really struggled in this game. This was the reason why this game was so close. Him and Drew Holiday really had a bad game. As you see, Drew went 5 for 23. Giannis showed up and did what he was supposed to do. You know, you expect your star players to really show up. Brook Lopez was huge in this game. 19 points, 8 rebounds. So I thought they did really, really well. So let's go back over to the headlines. Let's update to see what's new out there. Let's see what's going on, you know. Neither the Knicks nor the Nets have advanced past the second round in 18 years. New York is past due. Indeed, man. It's just really tough luck with this Brooklyn Nets team, you know. It seemed like they had it all together. They had their ingredients to be able to go on a run. If they could have got past, this round, I think they would have been able to definitely win the championship. It's just Kyrie going down. That was just such a gut punch. You can't lose Kyrie. He's the one guy who they couldn't afford to lose, especially with James Harden, being in the condition that he was in. That injury was just a straight up gut punch, and then it shifted all the offensive load to KD because James Harden couldn't carry the load. So he had to just carry all the water for the team, and in the end, fatigue won out. And that's typically how it goes. We see Brian Windhorst body tip at Kevin Durant's shoe. The Bucks survived. Indeed, it was a very, very close game. And obviously, if KD's shoe is just a little bit more behind that three-point line, the Nets win. I mean, and that's the thing. Christian Renfield, the wild circumstances that derailed the Nets' promising season, making near impossible to judge a team hit with every curveball in the book. They don't get a pass or fail, but a grade worse and incomplete. Listen, I totally agree with that. I mean, that's going to be the toughest part of evaluating this team going forward is that you didn't get to see your big three fully together in a playoff environment because they didn't play. They didn't play together. Harden got injured right off the bat. Then later Kyrie gets injured. Kevin Durant was the only mainstay of the big three in that starting lineup in the playoffs. And he just had to carry so much of a load. They couldn't even evaluate all three of those guys together. It's just a really tough circumstance, and one of those things that, it's just, how often do two of your stars just happen to get injured? Like, sometimes you see one, you expect one to maybe possibly get hurt, but for two of them to get hurt and then leave the load on one guy, that's just such a tough scenario to be in, and it was just a tough scenario for them to overcome. Obviously, check out this video right here. This is what I meant. James Harden, 5 for 26 from 3 in his 3 games back. Like, this isn't what he normally does. He's much better of a jump shooter than, what he showed in this series. It's just because that hamstring really limited his range of motion, and he struggled, being able to get those shots up. And then we see Billy here talking about, Spencer Dinwiddie. Here's the thing with Spencer, and I'm actually going to make separate videos about the offseason with the Nets specifically. So I'm going to do a deep dive because I've got some trade ideas and I've got some ideas in mind for the Nets in the offseason that I think could really help them. But Spencer Dinwiddie would be huge to have back because we've seen once, Kyrie or James Harden gets injured, that backcourt kind of creator role is very thin on the Nets. They have guys who can shoot, who can spot up and shoot. But in terms of a creator, they don't have that. And I feel like if you were to replace Spencer Dinwiddie with Joe Harris, I think the Nets win this series because I think another creator is on the floor, another person who can make offense on their own. And Joe Harris is much more of a 3-point shooter, standstill, spot up shooter, even though he missed those shots and he played a big role into the decline of the Nets this season. But Spencer, if they're willing to shell out the money, and I know it would be a lot because I think he's going to get a big contract by one of those teams who desperately need a point guard. So I don't think they will match him, but I could see it happening. If they do, I think it would be worth the money. I really do, because I think creators are so hard to come by. And I think if you're able to re-sign Spencer Dinwiddie, you can say we have legit 4 offensive creators on our team. And that's something that a lot of teams can't say. They can't say we have legit 4 guys who can create offense on their own, and then we have a lot of really good shooters. And then you kind of search the market for bigs. They need to get bigger. And I'm going to make a separate video about that too. I just wanted to kind of go over these headlines, James Harden's long-standing hesitancy as a spot-up shooter mitigated some of his utility yesterday. I agree. He's always been a bit reluctant to take those spot-up shots. He likes to do his little dribble, then shoot, step back 3. But he's a good shooter, so he really needs to get comfortable, especially playing with other stars. I think that's one of those adjustments that James is going to have to make going forward. Recognizing that he's playing with stars who are going to command attention, so I don't need to be on the ball shooting all the time. And just, going across these headlines, it was just such a tough night. I feel for Brooklyn fans. Look, I'm from Brooklyn. I was rooting for the Nets. I'm a Nets fan. I will let you guys know that right now. It was a tough night for me. I ain't gonna lie. I ain't going front right now. Oh yeah, happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. Big ups. And this man right here, people. Joe Harris. I want y'all to look at the 3-point percentage in games 3 to 7. Giannis Antetokounmpo, 26.1. Jrue Holiday, 24.3. Joe Harris, 24.2. He shot worse from 3-point range in this series than Giannis and Jrue Holiday, the man who led the league in NBA 3-point percentage this year at 47.5%. Shot that bad in this series. Here's the thing for Joe Harris, and this is something Sean Marks is going to have to really think about. Is Joe Harris a 16-game player, or is he just an 82-game player? Is he just a guy that's reliable in the regular season, or is he a guy that's going to be able to come through in the postseason? So far, he is not a 16-game player. I'm sorry to say that. That is the dead honest truth. He's not a 16-game player. That's just not who he is right now. Can he become that? I don't know if I want to take the risk and take a while to find out, but it's clear, like, through the 82, hey, you're getting your money's worth. He's going to make shots. It's clear to me that when the pressure was on, looking at his performance in the bubble last year and then looking at this playoff run, he's just not, like, I think the pressure really gets to him. I really do. And he's the one guy on the court who should be playing pressure free, because he's like Kevin Durant, James Harden. Those guys are going to carry the load for me. I just have to be ready. That's your only job, is to be ready and shoot. And he didn't do that well. I mean, he failed on that part. And all the money he's being made, it was catastrophe, straight up. And like, for the money that he's being paid, he completely failed. And he gets an F for this postseason, straight up. I mean, I don't even know what to say. So, again, I'm going to make a separate video because I have a trade idea of mine about Mr. Harris that I think Nets fans would really latch on to. And, of course, Kevin Durant, 48 points, the most ever in a Game 7. He broke a record last night. I mean, this dude put the team on his back. Like, I don't have anything bad to say about KD. He did what he was supposed to do. The superstars showed up last night, and Kevin Durant was the best player on the court, but unfortunately, his team was not the healthiest team on the court. His team was not the most complete team on the court, and that is what ultimately derailed the Brooklyn Nets' playoff hopes. So I'm going to bring an end to this video. I have more content coming soon. Just wanted to break down this game. We're gonna do a quick preview of the Clippers versus Suns, or maybe a post-game analysis of that Game 1. We'll see. Whichever one, tune into the channel. Please support, like, share, subscribe. Appreciate all the support. I will talk to you guys soon.